Yo, what's up with it, my childrens? I am here with the legendary Aphotastic lifestyle, the illustrious, the immaculate, the deliciousness of Danang. He has been through some shit, but we're going to bring you all up to speed on what's been going on in his life. Man, you had a wild ride from Hanoi, Danang, all kinds of problems with the visa stuff. Man, we want to hear
Oh
all
yeah.
about it. First, I'm glad you're here. It's been a long time since we've had a chance to talk. I miss you, man. We almost ended up hanging out in Da Nang before all this fucking madness happened. Bring everybody up to speed, man. What's your last, like, I don't know, what's your last, like, 6 months been like?
Look, my last 6 months has been a living hell, bro. And to be honest, I'm still kind of like dazed and confused from it all. But I've had some time to chill because I'm actually back home, in my own house, surrounded by people I care about and people that know me and stuff like that, as opposed to a number of months back when I was actually stuck in Hanoi and going through bullshit of being locked down, of continuous lockdowns, I should say. I went through uh, one, two, three, four, five lockdowns, back
Man,
to back consecutively, and I'm finally getting back to Da Nang. I literally wanted to get back to that. I'm actually jumping the story a little bit, but we'll go back.
okay.
But basically, like I said, I was wishing and hoping to get back to that. I kept the people I got to know in Hanoi, in my hotel, I should say. I was telling them, hey man, how great everything was for me back in Da Nang, and I couldn't wait to get back to Da Nang. And
Mm.
the day finally came, and I finally got back to Da Nang. And when I got back to Da Nang, I was met with more fucking chaos, and I was met with more bullshit, and I was met with
Wow.
it. I think that was the straw that broke the camel's back. It's like all of a sudden I was seeing red after that. I went from,
Mm.
okay, I'm happy to get back to Da Nang, and all of a sudden I get back to Da Nang, and all of a sudden it was like, what? Seriously? What the fuck? And then all of a sudden it just went from bad to worse, and which
Okay,
almost
so
led to me
let's
again.
let's focus in on this. So, what made you have to go to Hanoi in the first place?
Well, in the first place, I knew about it, but I just like I was told by my visa agent, hey, don't rush it. You don't need to go just yet. Just go ahead and wait till it's almost time because they didn't want to do my visa stuff like a whole month or two before. So I'm like, well,
Mhm.
let's try doing it early. And then she was like, no. Let's wait until around the time of. I was like, okay, fine. So I was going to Hanoi to do paperwork to get myself a visa extension. They said, well, if I get a couple of paperwork notarized, so I went up to Hanoi, spent a ton of money going to the because getting notarizations is not fucking cheap.
Mm.
I'm gonna tell you that shit right now. It's not cheap, and it goes by how many pieces of paper you have. So the more
Yep.
paper you have, the more money it costs. And you can
Yep.
literally spend at least about 3 to 4 million easy. Easy. I mean,
Wow.
3 to 4 million will run you about that's about $200 USD. Okay, so
Just
four
on
million, yeah,
stamps,
that's
on
on
notary
stamps.
stamps.
I noticed
Yeah.
that. So it's like you gotta be careful with the paperwork you have. So I spent about 1.5 million, which is
Mm.
about what about around close to like close to $100, $125, somewhere around there. And so I got everything done, sent it to my visa agent who was basically in quarantine herself at the time. So I also sent it to
Mm.
her assistant. So her assistant was trying to run things back and forth between her, me, and everything. So I was pretty much waiting. So at that time,
Mm.
I said, well, you know what? I never been to Hanoi, so it kind of gave me a little bit of time to kind of enjoy the city. Although I was kind of laughing at the fact that when I got to Hanoi, everything was kind of open, and back in Da
Hmm.
Nang, things was slowly shutting down. Like things was going into that Directive 16 lockdown situation. I
So,
got up to
so
Hanoi.
the type of visa you were initially on was a partnership visa, right? And you were going up there to kind of get the documents all sorted out. Is that what happened? Like,
Right? No, I was on a marriage visa. And
okay.
basically, my wife and I, we are going through a divorce and everything. So basically, when I tried to contact her in getting things situated, even though we are going through a divorce, because like everyone said to me, look, she's your sponsor. She's the one that can actually help you out better in terms of getting things done. So contact her and basically, let's take it from there because despite you guys going through a divorce, this is a biggest this could be a big problem for you. So
Yeah.
we try, and she basically said, "Fuck you." You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm not doing anything. You just gotta figure this shit
Okay.
out for yourself, or just leave Vietnam. So basically, my visa just like, well, I figured it out. We could get things rolling without her, but we just gotta get your paperwork notarized that you are
Good.
like a worker and all that stuff, and we
Good.
could work. We could take it a different route, right? So I said, okay. So I went up to Hanoi. And like I said, I get up there. It was kind of like in that Directive 14, Directive 15. It was very lax. There was no big setup. There was no lockdown. Everything was open. You could go to
And
any
Da
restaurant.
Nang was locked
Then
down.
the Dang was starting to lock down. It's starting to. Like basically, you couldn't go anywhere in Da Nang and sit down to eat. Basically was all takeout, right? It was all order or takeout. So I finally get up to Hanoi. I'm like, yeah, I'm loving this. For my first week. And within that week, I kind of like, okay, cool. And all of a sudden, we received a message. I should say the hotel lobby assistant said that we're going to have to start locking down. I'm like, well, what do you mean? He said because a plane just came in from Da Nang, and they got there were people and they were tested positive for coronavirus. So therefore, Hanoi now is taking steps and measures, and they might go into lockdown. I'm like, well, I hope not. And next thing you know,
Hmm.
they said, well, by Friday they should know. And I was
Okay.
told this basically on a Wednesday or Thursday, I think. And by that Friday, Saturday, when I went down to the lobby, it was like, yeah, we're now in a Director City 16 lockdown. I'm like,
Okay.
huh?
So
Oh shit.
what did that look like in Hanoi? Because Directive 16 in Saigon was like fucking
Yeah,
army
it
and
was chaos.
closing
Army,
streets. Like,
everything. Yeah,
what
it
did
was
it
it
look
was
like in Hanoi?
in Hanoi. The Directive 16 Hanoi was actually more like Directive 15. I should say
Okay.
it was like a Directive 16 light, basically, because up in Hanoi, we did have the Directive 16, but basically it was you could still go to the store, you can still go order like food and coffee and all that stuff, but you just can't go sit in the restaurant. You could go to Big C, you can even go to Big C as
Oh,
long as you're
that's
wearing
good.
a mask and all that stuff. So I was actually surprised, but the Big C was actually, man, I think it was like a mile away from
Right.
where from where I should say, like where I was staying at in Hanoi. But everywhere else in Hanoi was just locked down. And then they got a little bit more strict. They got a little bit more like anybody, if you went to the city area, you got to stay in that area. If you try to go to another area, you might have problems. So basically, from what I was told by by the hotel manager, she said to stay within the area, don't go too far, and that's it. So basically, I was able to walk around. I walked. Well, I can say I could walk within like a 2 mile radius, 2 or 3 mile radius within my area. I was like in a different district, so as long as I stayed in that district, I was okay. If I was going to another district, I might have problems. I didn't end up going in any other district anyway because I
Were you
was just
staying
walking
in an
around.
apartment or you had a
I
hotel
stayed.
or?
I had a hotel. I stayed at a hotel, which was, oh my god. I think my room basically was like a jail cell. That's how big it was. Yeah, I
Mm.
was paying 300 VND a day, which I was before I was paying 400 VND a day, and then she dropped it to 300 because I was stuck there. She's like, it's not your fault. You're stuck, so I'm gonna drop it. And she
Yeah.
dropped it. So I
Okay.
paid 300 VND a day, and it came out to somewhere. I was paying every week. I was paying around like a million something a week. A million or
Okay.
2 million a week, somewhere around there. So
That's not terrible. I mean, it's all right.
yeah, it's not bad.
Okay.
But
Where was
after
it in
2 months,
Hanoi?
I was in
I
the old
love the old
quarter.
quarter.
Man, fuck the old quarter, man. It's trashy, bro. It's
I
trashy.
know, but
I mean,
it's
it has
it's
character.
fun.
Don't give me that. It has character. But
It
man,
does.
I'm walking down the street in the old quarter and people are throwing trash bags out the fucking window, bro. And I'm like, what the heck? Yeah, and you get it's like you're dodging trash bags on your way to wherever you're going, and you're like, wait a minute, did she just throw a trash bag out the window? I just landed in the street. I'm like, wow. And like everywhere you go, there's trash everywhere. It was just I mean look like this. In the beginning it was cool. But once I
Right.
think the longer I stayed there, I started getting more pissed off. I'm more aggravated. And I'm like, I just want to go home. I just want to go. And no matter everything I tried in terms of getting home back to Da Nang was just fraughted with more bullshit and more bullshit that I and there was people's asking me for more money in terms of the visa agency. Well, we need to pay for this, we need to pay for that, and I'm like,
Yeah. Dude,
and then
the timing couldn't have been worse, bro. It couldn't have been worse.
right.
It was all right at the time when Saigon had the big blow up, when the country went fucking crazy. So it's natural that these things might have happened. What were you gonna say?
I was about to say that. I mean, I was literally getting, extorted in my face. Like I had my paperwork sitting at the immigration office, literally, and then I get a text say, "Hey, we got everything. They're gonna grant you your visa, but
Okay.
jumped from freaking bro. It jumped from freaking like a couple $100 to now 4,000 just about. I'm like, when it was 300, about 4,000 USD. So when I did the calculation, like 4,000, I said, you talking about D? He said, no, USD. I'm like, I said, are you serious? I'm not gonna pay 4,000 for a freaking visa. And the thing is, they didn't even let me know exactly how long the visa was gonna be for. I mean, I could have
All
paid
right.
4,000 a month. You know
Right.
what I mean?
This was Hanoi, right? You were dealing with the Hanoi. Yeah, of course.
Yes, Hanoi. And I just said no, I'm not gonna pay no 4,000 for a visa. I'm sorry. And what's our next option? It's like, well, the next option is to let's look inside on.
Yeah,
My
definitely.
let's take it down to Saigon and see what they say now. So that was almost a month and a half of me being there. I mean, bullshit after bullshit. And the longer I stayed at the hotel, it's the more bullshit I saw at the hotel because now I think I told you about it. My hotel was under surveillance, which I didn't know. And next thing you know, next thing you know, I mean, I was joking about it because I found out from the people working there that they have like prostitution going on. But they said like people bring girls, they actually bring girls there. But I didn't know that there are actually a few girls living there who are like
Okay.
house prostitutes. And I'm like,
Oh, they have
yeah,
them in the
yeah,
facility.
got them in the facility, and they actually had a room there. So basically, guys will come there and they'll pay whatever they got to pay. They pay at the front desk. They tell the guy what they're looking for, and they just the girl will come down and escort them up, kind of thing, right?
Okay.
So l- little did I know, and little did everyone else staying there at the hotel know that the hotel was actually under surveillance. And I remember the day specifically that that day I was downstairs in the lobby hanging out eating because we couldn't eat, we couldn't go out to eat anymore. So basically, you had to just buy your food and come back to the hotel to eat, right? So come
Hmm.
back to the hotel to eat, and I was sitting in the lobby. I remember I saw, this pretty little Vietnamese chick came in, and then there was two guys with her, and then it just didn't look right, right? It looked like something nefarious or something sexual, I should say. And I looked at the guy at the front desk, the clerk at the front desk, and I said, "Hey," after they left, of course, I said, "So is that a, a situation, a sexual situation, or what I did, I actually Googled it. I Google translated it, and then I showed it because he didn't speak English. I showed he was like, then he was like, yep. He was like, I was like, two guys, one girl, huh? He was like, yep, yep. I was like, okay. So afterwards, later on that night, I remembered pretty much midnight, almost 1 o'clock in the morning. There was a knock on my door, and there was the clerk, and there was a couple of guys standing behind him, and they was like, hey, police, come downstairs now. I'm like, huh? Yeah, that's it. They're like, yeah, get dressed and come down to the lobby. So I'm getting dressed, and I heard another knock come on my door again. But it wasn't my door; it was my next door neighbor. It was a guy in the next hotel in the next room next to me. They told him get dressed and get downstairs. So everybody in the hotel now are now stacked up in the lobby, sitting
Okay.
around, and there's police everywhere. It is
Hmm.
police everywhere, and then there's peace. Then they have a bunch of doctors, well, nurses and stuff with PCR tests getting ready because here we are in a COVID situation, and now we're having prostitution. There's strange men coming back and forth in and out of the hotel. So they're like, "Fuck that! We're going to test everybody for corona just in case, so we can
Okay.
shut the shit down." And I'm like, so I'm sitting there in line, and then there's some guy running back and forth, and then the owner of the hotel, he pretty much is looking there dumbfounded, like, what the fuck's going on. The clerk had him pretty much hemmed up. It looked like he was going to they was taking him away, which they actually ended up doing.
Oh
And then
man.
and then so we're all sitting down there taking our turns getting PCR tests. And then once we're done, it
Mhm.
was like, you live here? Where you from? How long you been here? What's the business in Hanoi? That was pretty much the questions they asked you. And I was like, hey, I'm here. I went to the embassy, staying here at the hotel, and that's it. But I got stuck here, so I can't go back to the. He said, okay, well, fine, go back to your room. So that's basically it. So now, fast forward.
Okay.
Uh, Next day, came to find out that the hotel clerk and the manager got arrested.
Oh
Okay,
God.
for having prostitution in the in-house prostitution going on.
Pimping ain't
Okay,
easy.
pretty much. I'm telling you, man, it was all bullshit. And then so everyone was like, so where's the clerk? When is he coming back? So everybody's like, well, we don't think he's coming back because And the funny thing, he was actually innocent. He was just the guy taking the money. He
Right.
wasn't in charge of nothing. He was just collecting the money and 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 this passing them on. Okay, he make the phone call the girls, they come downstairs. That's it. So he really and truly was nobody in charge. He was just collecting money. That's it. You know.
Isn't that it,
But
how it always is? It's always the little guy that takes the fall.
he was gone. The manager actually did get he did post bail. I did see him like a month before. We actually saw the clerk. The clerk did come back to work for the hotel like about almost 2 months later. Right before I left, he actually came back to work for the hotel. And he was like, he didn't really tell us anything was going. He was like, everything was okay. That's it. He was like, yeah, okay. He said that they kept his phone. That's it. The police
Right.
officers, they kept his phone, and that's all I'm saying they did. But looked like the hotel owners, managers, whatever, bailed them out. And I think they also had connections too, because from what I understood from the wife of the owner is that they do have some connections. So basically,
Okay, so they're running this prostitute ring during the peak of a fucking COVID breakout while you're stuck just trying to get a visa renewed up in the fucking north, which is already crazy because the north is
exactly.
fucking nuts. All right, so you eventually get it resolved, and then how hard was it for you to return to Da Nang, the place that you really truly want to be? You know, the part of Vietnam where you spent the most time and you're the most happy. There was like this
For four
struggle to
years.
get there,
Right.
right? Tell me about
So
the struggle of getting from Hanoi to Da Nang.
the struggle was real. The struggle was to the point where I was just losing my mind, bro. I started
Okay.
drinking. I'll go out and buy me a case of beer, and also or buy me a bottle of wine or some shit like that, and just go back to my room and sit there and drink. Because I was like, I don't
Mm.
think I could sit here for another month because every time I get my hopes up, they issue another lockdown, right? So I'm like, what the fuck,
What was
So
the
I just
issue?
the issue was basically that they didn't want to have because Danang was such in a chaotic mess that
Hmm.
and everywhere else I found that every region, every freaking region, basically had control over their own little empire. It's like
Okay.
everybody was in charge of something. It's like if you go to if you go to this province, they have a different way of handling stuff. If you go to that province, they
Hmm.
have a different way. So every province had their own way of handling their COVID situation. So it made it
Sure.
hard for everybody who was trying to get back home. And plus, there was no trains, no planes, and no automobiles going anywhere, right? So
Mm.
now, all of a sudden, I'm freaking like stuck here trying to figure out how to get back. And I called my visa agent several times. She was like, I'll try. I'll try to get you back to Da Nang the best way I can, but I'm not sure how, but I will try. So I had that issue, and every time I said, okay, well, maybe at the end of this lockdown, I could get a hop on a plane. Same thing, rolling lockdown, rolling lockdown. So
Right.
eventually, the thing that was pissing me off most was the fact that I kept on paying. I mean, despite how cheap my hotel was, that shit is adding up, right?
Of
That shit's
course. Of
adding up.
course.
Plus, I'm buying food. I'm eating every day. I'm paying rent every week to the hotel.
Right.
Um, and all this stuff is going on. So I literally spent around, I mean, my total sum of spending money between Da Nang to Hanoi was $10,000 within a 3 month time. 10,000 USD.
10,000. It cost
around
you
10,000.
10 grand because you got stuck with visa problems in the middle. See,
The
this is what I'm
problem.
going to say, Ronnie. Let me tell you this, man. People talk shit to me all the time. They're like, "Oh, why should I pay a consulting fee? Why should I do this?" Like they don't understand what's been going on in this country for the last 6 months, how crazy it got. I mean, it went from being like you could go to any visa agent and just renew your visa to paying 10 G's and being stuck in Hanoi. So how did you overcome it? How did you get back to Da
So,
Nang?
so basically, how I got back to Danang was my visa agent called me up and she was like, I mean, you and I know who we were talking about, the interview with the visa agent, but she calls me up and she said, okay, I got you a way back to Danang. It's not the official way, it's the unofficial way. I
Yeah.
said, I don't care. I said,
Well, it's my
unofficial,
contact.
I'm taking it. I said, I'm taking it. I said, I'm taking it. I don't care. I said, unofficial will work for me right about now. She said, okay,
Yeah.
well, she said, tomorrow you need to meet this guy at this location with all your bags packed and ready to rock and roll to get back to Penang, and it's gonna cost you 550 USD, which is about 10 million plus. Okay,
Right.
well, I should say 11, around 11 million, I think, just around 11 million. Okay,
Yeah.
and she says, if this is how much it's gonna cost you to get back to Penang, can you go ahead and deposit the money before you leave? And I try my best to deposit the money, but no banks were really open, so I can't really deposit any money. So then I called her. I said, look, I can't do it. She said, okay, fine, don't worry about it. Just get back to the nag. Pay me when you get back to the nag. I said, sweet. Okay, thanks. And then also she said, oh, and you need to get a COVID test before you leave. So when you get to the nag, you can show them at least you got a COVID test. I said, okay, fine.
Mm.
So I have to go get a COVID test, pay for that. And once I get the COVID test cost me 2 million. Okay.
Right.
And then I have to run. Dude, I literally fell off my freaking bicycle, busting my ass, sweating because I was to ride the hotel manager's bicycle because
Okay.
I tried to park a motorcycle, and then she was like, no, 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 I don't want to get in trouble because blah blah blah. So okay, whatever. She said, well, borrow the bicycle if you want. So I borrowed the bicycle. I'm pedaling my ass off from location to location trying to get a PC. I went to one area and they couldn't give me the PC test right away. So I also go to
Okay.
another area, cross freaking Hanoi, cross the freaking freeway on a bicycle, bro. On a bicycle,
Jeez.
cross the underpass of the freeway. I was like, I don't give a fuck what I got to do. I'm getting my ass back to Penang, right? So I finally
Yeah.
got there, got the PCR test done, get back to the hotel, sweating my ass off, packed my bags, and then I was like a bag trip. Then I was told, hey, if you're coming back to Penang, buy food because you can't because right now in Penang you have war forces. You cannot go buy food anywhere, and you cannot freaking leave your house to do anything. So you
Right.
pretty much once you get back, you're stuck. So you best buy food before you get back to bed. So now I'm like, okay,
Oh
sweet,
my
this sucks.
God.
So I left the hotel, borrowed the manager's bicycle again, okay, and I pedaled my ass to the closest Hapro food store, bought
Hmm.
a bunch of freaking groceries. I think I made about like four or five different trips between everything, and I bought a ton of groceries and all that stuff, and then I pedaled up to the one shop that stayed open. It's almost like America stayed open because it was
Mm.
they sold bags, they sold like suitcases and stuff like that. I don't know why they stayed open, but they were like the only one that stayed open in that one because I can remember seeing every time I went to the bank to withdraw money while I was there, I would see them
Hmm.
open day and night, day and night. So it was almost like it was meant to be. And then I said, I remember there's a place that sells suitcases and backpacks and shit that's always open right by the lake. It's right, you know that lake area right around there.
I
It's
love the lake. Yeah. Hon Kim.
right around by the lake. Yeah, Hokim Lake is right there. They sell backpacks and suitcases. So I said, I went up there. I was again sweating my ass up, pedaling this bicycle, bought a
Mm.
suitcase, and went back to the hotel. Put all the food
Jesus.
in there. So I literally bought about, I think about altogether about 400 USD in food. So about
Wow.
maybe almost close to 8 million in food. And I put it in this freaking suitcase and I took it to Da Nang with me, right?
Okay.
So now a big trip back to Da Nang was long and just was a lot of bullshit along the way. We almost got caught. I think we almost got caught because we kept going through all these checkpoints, and then the driver would say, "Okay, let's stay in the car." It wasn't only me; it was a couple other people. It was like, "Okay, stay in the car. and that's it. And then he would just get back in the car, and then we off, right? So we finally got to this one checkpoint where there's like, you need to see everyone in the car.
Oh,
So we all
Jesus.
got out of the car, and now we went up there, and we're standing there, and then the guys, he's like, this one guy, he's like seriously eyeballing me, like, I'm like, what's this motherfucker just looking at? He's just looking at me, like up and down there, looking at me, and then he would just turn over and talk to the other guy, turn back, look at me, turn and talk to the other guy, turn back, look at me. I'm like, okay, whatever. And then the other guy, he's talking to another guy who's looking at all the paperwork and shit, looking at all the paperwork. And then finally he said, okay, all right, leave. And then he said, okay, well, before you leave, let's do a declaration. And it was all in Vietnamese at the time, so I was like, I can't
Sign this.
Yeah, so the guy was like, okay, go, 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 go. So I said, okay. He was like, okay, let's go, let's go. So the driver was like, okay, fuck it, let's just go. So he said, go, let's go. So we're leaving. We got in the
Bro.
car. So then
Okay. Let me ask first.
guy,
Let me ask you a question first. Okay. So this was all organized. So did the driver had some sort of paper or something he could show them? Like, was it something like that?
Yeah, he had all the paperwork. He pretty much had all the paperwork that he needed to cross the borders.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And he also took the PCR paper because he needed to show that everyone in the car had a PCR test. So I gave him that along with.
And my girl, she organized all that, right? The one that we had looking out for you. Good.
Yeah,
good.
yeah. She organized everything. She would call me from time to time while I was on the way down. She was like, "Is everything good? How's the driver? Did he change drivers? How many people still in the car? Stuff like that." I would tell her everything is good. And the driver, he's doing good and everything, no problems. We had one problem at one area. She's like, okay, well, when you get back to the night, let me know. So finally, we're finally get back to the night after almost 17 hours of driving. Because we left in the morning time. Yeah, we left morning time around 10 o'clock in the morning, and then we finally got back to just around midnight, like 1 in the morning, almost 2 o'clock in the morning. We got to the time.
How long did it take you?
Almost
the whole trip.
I think the whole trip was almost like 14 to 16, almost 17 hours, somewhere around there. Because we got there around 1 o'clock in the morning. You know what I mean? Well,
yeah.
The thing is the fact that once we got there, he couldn't cross the border because the way his paperwork was set up was he only could go from border to border. That's it. But once he got to Da Nang, of the provinces, and the other provinces would let him through. But once he got to Da Nang wasn't accepting anybody from any other province. So,
bro, people love Da Nang, but they don't understand what it's like doing business with Da Nang. It's fucking crazy.
Hard. They are like a whole different world. World. And when we got down to Da Nang, they said they pretty much told him to get out the car. They checked everything, and then they said, "Okay, well, what's my situation?" I said, "Well, I'm from Da Nang. I live here. I'm coming home." They said, "You from Da Nang?" So I showed them my paperwork. They said, "Okay, well, go sit over there." So pretty much I went to sit in the tent because it was at the border checkpoint. They had a tent set up and everything. Okay. So here I am sitting there. They grabbed my paperwork. I said, "So how long is it going to take for me to?" They said, "Okay, we just got to check your paperwork." I said, "Okay." They checked everything, and then the guy came. He said, "Well, we can't get a hold of no one right now because everyone left for the night." I'm like, "So what does that mean?" Well, you might have to be here until like 4 or 5 in the morning. I'm like, it's like 1, 2, 3, 4. So I gotta be there for another. I gotta sit. So I sat at the tent for another 6 hours, just about. Just sitting there. I mean, they brought me water.
At least they were nice.
So I'm sitting there and I'm furiating. I'm like boiling from inside. I said, okay. So I'm like, this is bullshit. I gotta sit here. Yeah. I just spent about 16 hours driving from Hanoi, and now I gotta spend another freaking 6 hours waiting for someone to answer the phone because everybody left for the night, right?
I'm like,
God. Oh. Here I am sitting, and all of a sudden they got someone, and now there's a problem with my paperwork because my situation with my ex-wife came up. So now they're like, well, you have a marriage visa, but then you have this going on. So what's the deal? So now questions are being asked, right? And the funny thing was, the first guy that took my paperwork, he was cool. He didn't do all this pinpoint checking. He was like, okay, everything looks good. Just wait till the morning. We'll get you a bus. We'll take you and take you home. The new guy that took over because there was a shift change. He's the one that did all the. He checked all the freaking I's and T's. He checked everything, detail for detail, and made all the phone calls. And that's where people start asking questions. And it came up to the point where it was like, so what's this and what's this and what? I said, like, I don't know. I went to get my visa. There's like, yes, but who's this and who's? I'm like, all right. So now they call immigration.
Right.
And immigration was like, so what are you doing in Da Nang? I'm like, I live here. It's like, well, how did you get there? I'm like, I flew here. Well, I mean, I said I came from America. I've been here for the past 4 years. I said I got married to a Vietnamese. They said, so how long were you married? I said, we're married. I said, but honestly, we're going through a divorce right now. And that's when the lady said, oh, okay. And then she hung up. I'll call you back. When I told her, as soon as I said we're going through a divorce, she said, oh, okay, I'll call you back. I didn't hear anything from her until much later on. And she said, so where does your wife live? When she called me, I said, well, she lives in Fantique right now. And so basically, I don't know. No one can get a hold of her because she's not answering her phone at all. Because she already knows what's going on. So she doesn't give a shit. She's like, I'm not answering no phone. I'm not doing anything. Don't call me. So after I didn't hear from the immigration people, and I talked to our girl, the visa agent. She said, look, I talked to them. Basically, the problem is you're not Vietnamese, so they don't want to let you into the land. What do you mean they don't want to let me in? I live here. She said, it doesn't matter. You're not a local citizen, and you're not a citizen of Vietnam, so they cannot let you in. So now in my mind, I'm like, all of a sudden I flipped. It's like it was the one thing I didn't want to hear, but it was the one thing I heard. Oh, you're not Vietnamese. So it was like, F you. I don't care how much money you spent. I don't care what you did. I don't care who is who. You're not Vietnamese. So at the end of the day,
you're not one of us. So fuck you. Yeah, it's like that. It's like that.
I thought that's where it hit me the hardest because I wanted to thank so much that I basically when I got there, I feel like they just like slapped me in the face and said, I don't care how much you love Da Nang. I don't care how much money you spent in Da Nang. I don't care if you have a house in Da Nang. I don't care anything. You're not Vietnamese. So we're you know.
So listen, bud, this is one thing I try to tell people because a lot of people don't really understand the value of what we do. This is not a normal business situation dealing with these countries. It's fucking crazy. And with everything that happened with this most recent lockdown, they've really demonstrated that they're very difficult to work with. You know, Saigon has always been a bit safer, a bit better, but even Saigon went kind of intense these last few months. So I'm going to go back to Asia after I'm in the Balkans, but I'm going to go to Cambodia because throughout the whole lockdown, bro, they didn't throw foreigners out. They didn't do any of this crazy stuff. They didn't have, milking and extorting foreigners for all this money. How do you feel? Like, do you feel disillusioned with Vietnam? Do you see the country in a different way?
I feel hurt. I also feel hurt more like passionately because I felt like I had so much love for being here and being.
I know.
I did remember. I've been doing I did charities. I did like maybe like 5, 6, 7 charities here. I always give money to help this one, that one. That's how I came to get to know so many people here in Vietnam, especially in Da Nang. I got to know a lot of local people. And then at the end of the day, when I finally came back to the city I love, and I really wanted to be in because I really couldn't wait to get the fuck out of Hanoi, it's like I got a slap in the face. It was like, fuck you, bro. You're not one of us, And I didn't look at it as being racist. I looked at it as ignorance.
Wow.
Ignorance.
It is kind of, dude.
And it was disappointing to me in a lot of ways. It was very, how can I say? It just felt like someone ripped my heart out because Da Nang had my heart. Because you know how much I love Da Nang, bro.
I know. You guys can check out his YouTube channel. He's got a great YouTube channel. He showed a really positive side of Da Nang. He's the kind of expat that we all hope to meet when we travel, like the person who's in the country for all the right reasons and is there because he loves the people and loves the culture. And unfortunately, I'm much more bitter because I've been dealing with visas and with employment since I've been here as a business. So unfortunately, you're just starting to experience the side of Vietnam that I've been dealing with for the whole time.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, my girlfriend started laughing at me. Like once everything got well, before I get to that, let me just say that
Mhm.
once everything started working out, once I spoke to our visa agent in common, she said, "Well, look, we're gonna try this," and that's when I had three friends that got together, the visa agent and my VQ friend and another friend of mine, all women. They put their heads together and they said, let's do this. And that's when someone said, well, hey, since he lives in Da Nang, who can we call? So they called this one person. They said, yes, we can sponsor him to come back into the city. And that's when
Okay.
they said, okay, how are we going to sponsor this? So the city official sent a person to talk to one of my friends who owned a business and been in business in Da Nang for like the last 10, 15 years and
Okay.
is a big upstanding person in the community, and
Hmm.
they know a lot of people. So basically, they want to talk to her, and then that's when they said, okay, you are going to be sponsoring him back into the city. She said yes. He's a good guy. He lives here. I know him. He's done a lot in the community, and I really don't want to see him because they were going to kick me out. They said that the
Sure.
only way I was going to get out of, the only way I was going to go into Da Nang is that I was going to go to the quarantine area, and after my 14 days of quarantine, they was going to kick me out. And pretty much, they don't care where I go. I was just going to leave Vietnam. But when they came up with a solution of sponsoring me back into the city, that's when
Hmm.
things turned. Everybody said, "Oh, okay, fine, no problem. With it, let's do this." But it didn't come free. I'm gonna tell you that. I'm not gonna say
Sure.
how much. I'm not gonna say who. I just say it just didn't come free. There's somebody has to get paid, and some people have to, and there were paperwork has to get filled out, all that good stuff, and that's basically it. And that's when things started to move and look more positive and look good for me. And that's when once they got everything done, they sent the paperwork over to whoever was supposed to look at it. And once they looked at all of the information, they said, okay, fine, let him in. And when I got in, that's when they said, hey, so do you want to go to a quarantine facility or do you want to go to a paid quarantine? I said, I'm going to a paid quarantine. Screw it. After all the shit, I'm not going to go sit my ass at no damn government facility and be hot. And I've already went through, 2 months and
Yeah.
2 months and a week up in Hanoi with all this bullshit. So I'm
Oh.
not going to do it anymore. So they said, okay, fine. The person who was sponsored me looked around. They found a hotel. I got a penthouse suite for 2 weeks, pretty much, 14 days. It was 720,000 VND for a day. Okay,
Wow.
at this penthouse suite. I said, they was like, "Do you mind?" I was like, "I don't care. I'll pay it." So add that up. Basically, it was almost a million a day. Let's just say it was almost
Jeez.
for 14 days. So 14 million basically down there, almost 14 million, I think. So basically, well, the round, and then to top it off, while I was there for the 14 days, I had to get four PCR tests every day. The only thing I could say that was good about the hotel, it was huge as fuck. I could actually jog around the hotel, I mean, my hotel room, which I did,
Right.
just as an exercise. And then the food, I got fed 3 times a day. So I had
Okay.
a great view because I was on the top floor. I was on the very top floor. There was two penthouses. I had one of them, and there was another guy on the other side of me. Yeah, I think him and his wife or somebody had it because I used to hear voices. I used to hear people talking. So I'm like, okay, so somebody's next to me in the next room over. So that was it. So basically, great view, and that's it.
Okay. So I want to try to cut the video soon. So let's leave them with some final thoughts of your experience throughout the quarantine. And once again, I'm really glad that we could help you, bro, because you're a good friend, and I try to put those resources available to people that I care about. Give us some final thoughts, but also, what do you say to these people who make it seem like, oh, you just follow the rules and everything will, and you're just not following the rules? Like, leave us with some closing thoughts, and then
I'm,
we'll
I'm gonna
wrap it
say
up.
this. I would say this. I was going to say that when I finally got through all of this bullshit that I went through, and all of the heartaches and all of the stress, my girlfriend laughed at me. She said, "Oh, so you think Vietnam nice now, huh? She said to me,
Yeah.
she said, now you know how Vietnam is. She said, you finally woke up. This is how Vietnam is. This is the reason why, you foreigners come here think everything's so easy. Now you know not so easy. I'm speaking with her accent, of
Yeah,
course.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know now not so easy, huh? And then and so, but I must say this, man. I love Vietnam with all my heart.
Yeah, me
I will
too.
still love Vietnam even when I left. But at the end of the day, it's a whole different world. And this whole visa situation thing that's going on, don't think it's a cakewalk. It's not a
No.
cakewalk. It's hard as fuck. And Vietnam, they will change whenever they want, and they will laugh at you in your face. They'll laugh at you in your face, and screw you in the end.
Yep.
That's how I see it. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, as a foreigner here, you'll always be a foreigner. And it took me a long time to come to that understanding that hey, you're always going to be a foreigner. And a couple of my friends who've been here throughout the Philippines and Vietnam and all that stuff, they told me, so you finally realize that no matter what you do in Southeast Asia, you're always going to be a foreigner. And
Definitely.
and that's it. You know what I mean? Because
But if they come to our society, we generally we welcome them. Eventually, they can get passports. They
bro,
can naturalize.
and they become one of us. They become one of us. We allow them to say, hey, and you know what? I'm kind of glad you said that, man, because I'll be honest. To all you Americans out there listening, let me put it like this: all the shit I went through in this last year, all up until the very end, coming on to the end right now, I appreciated all the little fucking things that I didn't appreciate back when I was in America. You know, now we do have problems in America. Don't get me wrong, but all those little things I appreciate now more than ever. And when foreigners come to our country, we don't look at them as foreigners. We welcome them, and in the end, they become one of us. But once we travel to their country, no, we're not one of them.
Well, we have stupid people
We're
too in our societies, but like we just don't let those stupid people control our laws. Like
exactly.
we have dumb people who would hate a foreigner, but we also have foreigners have the right to eventually get a passport or naturalize their own property. And yes, it
And
is more
they become,
difficult, but it
I
can
was
be
about to say, and
done.
eventually they become one of us. They become one of us, and after a couple of years, most people say to any foreigner, "Oh, you're American now." Because I remember, I mean, don't get me wrong,
Mm.
I'm a foreigner in America too, but I went to America when I was 13, and by the time I was done with high school and all that stuff, most of my friends was like they looked at me as just another American. You know what I mean? And to be honest, I mean, I speak very American. I'm American as American can be. When you go to another country, outside of your own, it can be very different. You think that you just get accepted. Yes, you get accepted until the shit hits the fan, and then all of a sudden you become them.
That's what I
you
like
know?
about where I'm at now in Albania. It's a much different energy, man. The people are much more welcoming. It's a completely different philosophy. Anyway, guys, his channel is Aphotastic Lifestyle. This was his insane experience throughout the pandemic. Smash the like button, comment. This kind of stuff helps us a lot, guys. If you have any questions about doing business or working in Vietnam or in Cambodia or out here in the Balkans, give me a holler on the Facebook fan page. We're here to help you. We tried to help out our homeboy here. I'm glad we were, able to make the experience at least a little bit better. I couldn't imagine if he had to do it by himself. Anyway, check out Aphotastic Lifestyle, guys. Subscribe, share. Peace.
Peace.
Brush your face and wash your teeth, son.
Hey, what's up? I'm D from Canada. Hook up with the New York Nomad if you want a smooth ride into Vietnam or any Southeast Asian countries.
Hey, my name is Aaron. Get in contact with the New York Nomads. If you want to get into Vietnam, hit them up. They'll get you in securely and professionally.
Yo, this is Uncle Hollywood. I'm telling you right now, the New York Nomad got me a job. He's legit. Hit him up. Check him out.
New York Nomad set me up in Vietnam.
Yo, my man got me a job. Come to Vietnam.
Hey, what's up, guys? You thinking about coming to Vietnam? You're not sure where to start. You've heard a lot of things online. You don't know what's true. You don't know what's not. We offer a consulting service where we help you get on your feet in Vietnam. We give you advice on negotiating contracts with employers. We help you with real estate agents, visa agents that are reliable and that you can trust. We help you get started in this amazing country and get on your feet. We help you get into different opportunities that might be more difficult for you if you were just landing in the country on your own. And we help you avoid a lot of the pitfalls and problems problems that you could have as a newcomer here. We provide you with reliable job recruiters, visa agents, real estate agents, and advice. If you guys are thinking about coming to Vietnam, hit us up for a consultation. We'll help you get started, help you get on your feet, and hopefully you'll love Vietnam as much as we do.